Contreras born coming off a pair of third place finishes, and last start she ran very game and split horses late and just missed, got out Bob there and was third, but comes from a good barn, gets a good hot rider in the apprentice Joseph Ramos, and is my top pick for second. Number 6, Bunch of Daisies. This one rallied from far back with Rodney last start to get beat just 3 3/4 lengths and was bumped around a little bit. Archie's Girl came back and won since then, been keeping good company. Now she's never won on the synthetic, but that last start, if she improves off that last start, I think she's worth a bet here at 6-1, and I'm going to use her in the pick 5 as well. Now, number 1, Fun Sucker has drawn the fence. Adolfo Macias with a winner on the card last night, and Herberto Figueroa has the call. This one will be a pace presence from the inside and could hang around for a piece of it. I don't think there's a lot of speed in here to go with her. Maybe Riddle Me Reed to the far outside, but probably the main threat I thought on paper to her getting hooked up in a speed duel, Scratch. So Fun Sucker maybe clear off on a clear lead, and you'll see 2 starts back here. She did that and just kept going. So if she can get a clear lead, she gets a big heart when she's on the front end, and she is a 4-time winner here at Turfway. So I always like to play the horses for the courses here, and Fun Sucker is that at 3-1. 5-6-1 in race number 1 for me, start of the pick 5. Now, race 2 starts the pick 4 every night here, and it is on races 2, 3, 4, and 5. And to kick things off, it's a claimed event for the girls, 2 and a full year claimer to go 6 furlongs. Now, in the second race, there are no changes to start the pick 4, and my top pick is number 7, My Aunt Tilly, another one from the Barna, Cipriano Contreras and Joseph Ramos. I'm going to put them on top in each of the first 2 races, and My Aunt Tilly is 4-1 on the morning line, and like I said, comes from a good barn owned by Bob Bone, and this one was 4th, well beaten last start, but Kickin' Kimberly won by almost 10 lengths that day, and it's only got beat a couple of lengths for second. Has a win here at the track the time before. That was a non-3. Steps up a little bit in this 2 and a full year, but there's not a lot of competition in here, and I think she'll sit the perfect trip. Well drawn to the outside at the 6 furlong distance. My Aunt Tilly, my top pick. Now for second, number 3, Page Star. This one will be a price 6-1 on the morning line for the Barna, Joe Davis. Rodney Prescott is up on this Indiana bred for Fred McCrary. Now, she raced here last start and threw a clunker, but Trickazar was very well meant that day. Trickazar came back and won here on Thursday. She won a starter allowance to win going away, so very impressively. So Page Star been facing kind of stiff competition. She was second here 2 starts back in a dated condition race, and I like her at 6-1 with Rodney Prescott up top. Third, number 9 is Shameless 5. This one comes from the barn of Ron Kales and is another one I like the post position. Now, last time the horse drew the fence at the 6.5 furlong distance, so it goes from the 1 hole to the outside, and she ran very well. And we know here sometimes they have to overcome a lot and maybe be much the best to win out of the 1 hole at this distance. And this one drawn to the outside now today, gets every chance, and I think should get a decent pace set up for this one's late running style. Is a winner here at Turfway, and Sammy Bermuda starting to heat up here. He's had a couple of wins this week already and a couple last week. So 8-1, I want to have that horse on my ticket, 7-3-9 in race 2 that does start the early pick 4. Third race is a maiden filly 3-year-old 30 claimer to go a mile. This race for me is wide open. I think a number of horses could win in here, and I would spread as much as possible if you're playing any kind of pick 3s or pick 4s, or even the pick 6 starts here in the third. But I'm going to go at number 7, Roma Delight. Now, the question mark is, can this horse poly? The horse has never raced on synthetic, but shows that the horse likes multiple surfaces, where she's ran well on the turf, she's ran well on the dirt, and comes in from Laurel, where she was second beaten favorite in each of her last 2 starts. She was the beaten favorite. Last start was second, time before she was 4th, but she's had 3 seconds out of 8 starts and 1 4th place finish, made almost $26,000, and gets Sonny Leone, another jockey starting to heat up here at the track. I think he had a couple of winners on Thursday's program, and Roma Delight 3-1, a morning line favorite, my top pick in the third race. Number 8, English Escort, is another one I'll use in the pick 4s and pick 6 as well. This one was third here last start. A pretty good field that day. Made it in 30s when she was making the class drop. She's daughter of English Channel. Now, English Channel's offspring run very well here at Turfway. They love the poly track, and English Escort, my second choice in race number 3. After that, it starts getting wide open. I can make a case for a lot of horses. I threw number 2 in there at 10-1 morning on odds. Neva. This one gets first Lasix tonight, and I look for that one to move forward. And took some money on debut at Churchill. Now that was a 7-horse field, so she only beat 1 horse, but she went up 14-1, and that was for that maiden 30. She came back here. She ran 5th, beating 11 lengths, and pretty solid field that day. A couple of the horses in that race have came back and win since, so that was an okay race. But on the class drop, 3rd start here in her career, I like her at 10-1. I'm going to use her. I'm spreading out, and those are 3 of the horses that I'm going to use in there. 7-8-2 in race number 3. 4th race tonight is a open 5 claimer to go a mile, and a lot of veterans in here, horses we've seen here a lot of times, and there's one horse in here, in fact, that's won 7 times over the Turfway surface. I'm going to spread out, get Tufts in here. He's won 4 times over the surface, but I'm going to go with number 8, Seattle Treasure, one that hasn't won yet at Turfway, but this one is making a big drop in class. 2 starts back was claimed for the $8,000 level, while the horse was second, just missed to shakedown and was rolling late. And Seattle Treasure came back on the raise. Of course, when you claim that here in the state of Kentucky, you have to raise for 30 days, 25%. So they raised the horse to 12.5, and the horse just galloped around there, was wide the entire way. But on the drop back to the $5,000 level, last time we've seen this horse for 5 was a runaway winner at Woodbine. So has a win on the synthetic, just hasn't won on the poly. And Seattle Treasure, my top pick at 3-1. Number 10, Irish Proud, is another one I'll use. This one's a 4-time synthetic winner. 3 of those right here at Turfway. So 50% wins here at Turfway for number 10. Irish Proud gets Rafael Hernandez up top. Number 5, Just Enough Tough, is another one I will use in here. 15-1 on the morning line. Last start here at Turfway was 7th, beaten 7 3/4 lengths, and was up against it that day. Was stuck down along the inside, broke from the 2-hole, and he was inside of horses the entire way, but did advance and did improve up the fence. And the race, I think, was a little bit better race that day, obviously, than this race. Time before, well beaten in that starter, but that was in behind Glad to Be Here. Glad to Be Here came back and won another starter since then, and I think won by 23 lengths. But even the start before that, where he was 3rd, beating a length in that 12.5 level to Himp Himp Hooray. Himp Himp Hooray came back and was 3rd here in the Prairie Bayou Stakes. So Just Enough Tough on the class drops, worth a look at 15-1 with Juan Machado for Lauren Diego. 5th race here at Turfway starts a late pick 4. It's sponsored by Norwood Strong. Those folks will be in the house tonight celebrating here at the track. Race 5 is a maiden special weight with a purse of $46,000. Maiden filly 3-year-olds to race 6.5 furlongs. In race number 5 will scratch numbers 9, 13, and 14. The morning line favorite is number 2, Yellen. She's a 3-year-old daughter by Fed Biz, comes from the Red Hot barn of Wesley Ward for Corey and C.J. Johnson's C.J. Thoroughbreds. Now, this one was 9th as the second choice last start. Well beaten at the mile, but turns back to the 6.5 furlongs. I think this horse is probably better suited at the sprint distance. And she, on debut, she took some money at Churchill in that straight maiden, was 5th, only beaten 6 lengths. That was a loaded field, really deep, talented field that day. Came back and went up to Saratoga on the turf for a 75 claimer, was 5th, beaten 5 lengths. Followed that up at a great performance at Kentucky Downs, where she was 2nd, beaten just 4 lengths. Got a really good number that day, and ran in behind Finite, who's came back and won a couple since then, Emily's Oasis. So that was a really deep field. And Yellen, I think, is the class of the race. On the turnback, she gets my top nod here in race number 5. The 8, Honorable Memory, is another one I'll use. She comes from a barn from a trainer who knows how to win, and he wins well. Just hasn't won yet here at this meet, but he's only raced 3 starts for his longtime owner, Katie Rich Stables. That's Mark Hubley, number 8, Honorable Memory. She is 5-1 on the morning line. On debut at Churchill Downs as a 2-year-old, she was 3rd, beaten 2 lengths in a really good field. Was finally, she kind of settled far back and really didn't get run until too late. And when she did, she kicked it into top gear. She followed that up by another 3rd place performance there at Churchill. And then she stretched out to the 6 furlong distance and was 7th, beaten 19 lengths when she added Lasix for the first time. And she hasn't raced since then, but her work pattern certainly shows she's ready to run, and she's rounded it. She's back into form. 3 works back on January 29th. She was shipped from her home base at Keeneland here to Turfway. She fired a gate drill of 1:01 101. Pretty good workout there. Came back on February 5th, another 101-1. And then just about a week ago at Keeneland, another bullet, 49-2 from the pole. So that, to me, shows that she's ready to run. She's going to fire a big one, 5-1. I got her in behind my top choice. Third, number 10, Lee Dale Romans for Mark Bacon. She's a daughter of Daredevil out of a Mineshaft mare. And this one took some money on debut, and she just kind of ran even, but she did run on late, and she had a really good, strong gallop out. I liked it that day, and I put her on my horses to watch list. She was 7th, beaten 7 lengths, and 6-1, I want to have her on my ticket here on her second start here for trainer Dale Romans. Now, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we're going to take a little break here as we pause for the cause, and we ask that you please rise. Kindly remove your caps as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into Turfway Park. The windows are open. 8 races on this Saturday card. First post is in 26 minutes, and the poly track is fast. Temperature almost 50 degrees here with 26 minutes to post, and at this time, if you'll take out your racing programs, I'll give you tonight's late program changes. First race starts the pick 5, 15% takeout. Scratch number 2, she's a Pontiac. Scratch number 2, she's a Pontiac. No changes in the second. If you'll turn in fact, there's no changes in races 2 or 3. If you'll turn to the fourth race. Race 4, scratch number 3, Mansour. Number 3, Mansour has been scratched from race 4. Race number 5, sponsored by Norwood Strong, and there are 3 changes. They're all 3 scratches. Scratch number 9, Momo's Humor. Scratch 13, Ithaca Falls. Scratch 14, Sway to Go. Numbers 9, 13, and 14 scratch from race 5. In the 6th race, there is an overweight on number 6, Competitive Queen. That rider is 2 pounds over the assigned weight. Race number 7 on the program. Number 1, All Hands on Decks. Jockey is 3 pounds overweight. And number 5, Dragster's rider is 3 pounds over as well. Scratch number 7, Contraction. Number 7, Contraction is scratched from race 7. In the 8th and final, we offer high five wagering. There is a carryover of $4,581 of free money in that pool. And in that race, scratch number 1, Roth. Number 1, Roth has been scratched. Well, those are the changes at this time. Any additional changes coming in throughout the balance of the program, I'll get those to you as they do so. First post in 24 minutes. Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy McNerney here with the balance of the pre-race show. Prior to the break, we got through the first 5 races on the card. Now we'll talk about the final 3 races in that late pick 3, starting in race number 6. It's a filly and mare. Non-winners a $30,000 claimer, going 6.5 furlongs. And in the race, I'm going to use a horse to the outside, number 8, Heaven Escape, as my top pick. And this one is a daughter of Stormy Atlantic, racing for Paulo Lobo, who does very well with these fillies and mares, and he's got a good one on his hands. He's won a couple at the meet, Oxen Power, and Heaven Escape, I think, is well meant. Another one he'll send out that's live tonight, 4.5 to 1 on the morning line. She's 1 win from 11 starts. Last start here for the $40,000 level at Churchill on November 2nd. She was going a route of ground. And she was 7th, beating 13 lengths. Kind of ran even around there, but the time before at Belterra in that 1X was 4th, beating 2 lengths. That was a pretty good race. You'll have to round back into form. I'm willing to toss that last race. She's training okay, according to her work tab, and she gets the 5-pound breaking weight on the turn back. I don't mind the turn back in here for her, but she is my top pick just narrowly. I do like the one Time Warp a lot, and she is my second choice. Great daughter of Cairo Prince for Kirk Wyckoff and Mike Maker. And this one is ridden by Gerardo Corrales. He and Maker teamed up to win 2 on the card last night. Well mounted tonight. This one was 3rd last start in the same kind of condition, and should be rolling late. Draw on the fence, but I think Corrales will get this horse off the fence down the backside and get out into the clear, and she'll kick on. Now, number 4, My Sweet Babu, was a winner last start here at Turfway when acclaimed for $15,000, and she is 2 to 1 on the morning line, and her Roberto Figueroa has the call. She was claimed from Maker. She made all the pace last start, where she was returning to the filly restricted races, as the time before she had to run open against the boys, but she ran well, was 2nd. Came back for the 15, like I said, against the girls. Broke her maiden. She turns back to 6.5. That's another one on the turn back. It doesn't bother me. Just I think at 2 to 1, she may be over bet here on the step up in class, but I'm going to add her to my ticket, but certainly I'm going to try to play against her in race 6, 8-1-4 for me. Race 7 starts the late daily double. It's a wide-open $8,000 claiming event to go a mile. And in this race, I'm going to use number 9, Junket, at 4 to 1 as my top pick. Gennaro Garcia sends us an out. And Gennaro is hitting here just around 22% last time I looked in the win column. Another one for Joseph Ramos. We talked about him a lot tonight. He could have a huge night here. I think he's 3rd in the standings, in behind Albin Jimenez and Gerardo Corrales. And get a break in weight here. So you get 5 pounds off with the Bug Boy, but he really doesn't ride like most Bug Boys. He's really talented and very seasoned for a Bug, and he's close to losing his apprenticeship allowance. I think he has about another month or so left on it, but Gennaro's taking advantage of that weight break here, sends Junket out. Junket was claimed 3 back. He took this horse off Kim Hammond for the 12.5 level, and jams it in for 8 tonight. He knows how to enter. He knows his way around a condition book, and I like this horse going for his second win on the Poly. Now, number 11, Creative Courage, 8 to 1 for Doug Cowens, and this one was 3rd last start to Mr. Chow and Mansour, but Mr. Chow came back after that race out of that win for $8,000 and was just beaten for 12.5. And Creative Courage, I think, has a license to finally get that elusive 4th win for Dougie Cowens. Now, number 3, Prince Arlo, is 6 to 1 on the morning line. Has a win and a 2nd place finish from 2 starts over this local surface. Won a dated condition, 3 back. And followed that up with a very good performance in that starter allowance, where he was 2nd in behind that Glad to Be Here horse we talked about earlier on the program. Went up to Mahoney and caught a muddy track and really didn't like it. He kind of ran even, and I think on the drop in class, back to the $8,000 level, returns to the Poly. 6 to 1 is great value on Prince Arlo in race 7. 8th and final here tonight offers high 5 wagering. There's a carryover of just shy of $4,600 in that pool, and it's a non-2 claimer to go 6 furlongs in. My top pick is number 7, Los Anna. She's 6 to 1 price play here in the nightcap. There's another one ridden by Joe Ramos. I'm all over him tonight, and I think he'll be all over Los Anna. He will be rolling late. I think we'll get a decent pace scenario set up in here for Los Anna, who is 6 to 1 on the morning line. For second, number 2, Cabot Trail, 2-1, I think is a vulnerable favorite. Drawn to the inside, has McKee, and if the horse was drawn somewhere else, and I'd probably use it as a top pick. But down on the inside, I'm going to use the horse second. I don't think he can win from down there, but I want to have him on my ticket in the exotics. Now, number 11, Howard Work, 10-1, comes from the barn of Matt Martinez. Gerardo Corrales up top. This horse is better than his last couple of races, and I think on the jam down to 7,500, I think he'll wake up and get that second career victory. Howard Rourke, I'm going to use a price play for third at 10-1. Well, that's how I see it for this 8-race program. We'll be back on a couple of times tonight to talk about the 2 pick 4s and the pick 6. The horses are making their way over from the backside into the paddock for race number 1. Post time is in 18 minutes. Thanks for coming out tonight. Good luck.